We have installed systems at trailer parks. Now, let me tell you what happened at one of these mobile home parks. We had a great system. We proposed it. They said, fine, we got to have it. The owner had to give away half her equity in the trailer park to pay for it.
Or she was going to lose the trailer park, right? Yeah.
Half of something is better than 100%
right.
of nothing, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what's the solution?
Yeah.
We have something called water on demand.
Water on demand.
Which enables water as a service. In other words, ma'am, you don't have to give away half your trailer park. Just start paying on the meter like you're accustomed to. We'll install a system.
Water on demand. It's ready to go.
You just pay as you go. And now we've just entered a relationship with a large servicer in West Central Texas called Enviro Maintenance. And they put in all the septic tanks back in the day.
Right.
Now they're going to upgrade the entire fleet of trailer parks.
Awesome.
And they've selected us, and Texas has pre-approved our system, our pod,
right,
to go in.
That's great.
The final piece is the capital. Okay. No capital required.
That's beautiful, yes.
And welcome everyone to Water on the Rocks, the monthly briefing. I'm very excited to present this. It's going to be super exciting. We have a ton of people on board. Thank you for joining. And without further ado, I'm just going to cover a couple items here. All right, Water on the Rocks, Thursday, June 20. So it's episode 1 of the monthly, but I'm still keeping the chronological on the briefing numbers, which is 263. That's just because I'm nostalgic, okay? But we are now monthly, as you know, which is great because it allows us to focus on what we call the legends of water. These are people who are key to what is going on in this new movement, not the old school, but the new thing that's happening. And Linda says, Riggs, you look great. Well, you know what they say, it's not how you feel, it's how you look, and darling, you look marvelous. Nice to see you, Linda. All right, well, see you on the chat, of course. All right, so with that, of course, we have the usual safe harbor statement and disclaimer for the accredited investors and with the Regulation A disclosure. And just to let you know before we go on, Tom the Echoes, hello Riggs, I sure miss our weekly meetings. Yes, well, we're going to try and figure something out that's an interim thing. AJ, we'll discuss it a bit later as soon as we get into the group meeting. Basically, see what we can do for short hits in the weeks between. But I totally understand because so much going on, but the monthly thing allows us to really have a great event. Now, just to give you what's up with the Regulation A, as you can see, it's in the invitational mode. It's going extremely well. A lot of people have signed up. We got some comments back from the SEC, resubmitted an amended Form 1A, as it's called, and we expect that to be approved relatively soon. As usual, we can't tell when, but typically Regulation A gets approved once everything is clear, a couple of weeks, maybe 3, maximum a month. So that's fantastic because we want crowdfunding in order to bring in everybody, right? Okay, so really fast, what I'm going to do is I just have 2 articles that I'm going to go through. And what I'd like to do is actually invite the gang to comment, to be the Mystery Science Theater 3000 crew. I don't know. So,
the color commentary. I got it. That works for me.
Ken, do you know what Mystery Science 3000 was?
Yeah, I remember with the puppets and the guy sitting in the thing and they're eating the popcorn and they're making the comment. Yeah, I watched cable TV back in the 80s too.
Oh, yeah. Right. They were making sarcastic comments throughout. You're not allowed to make sarcastic
I was about to say, because that won't suit me because I'm never sarcastic.
Oh, all right. Well, now I guess we are a river of lies if we're not sarcastic. Because when you talk, you are the embodiment of sarcasm. And we love that. It's fantastic. Now, I don't know why the heck you've been out in the sun or something.
Yeah, I was down in Clearwater for a week, remember?
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to make myself just a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to make myself
Orange Man bad. Just remember that.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I've got a couple of stories. So I'm going to go ahead and share. And then, we're going to do the Mystery Science 3000 sarcastic references. So I didn't want to go through the whole X because everyone in this group should be on @RiggsEx. You should be following @RiggsEx because there's a lot of content that is posted there. And
let's take this moment. If you're not, why don't you follow him right now?
Yes, please. @RiggsEx.
Go to x.com.
All the things.
And @RiggsEx, @OriginClear, @Water on Demand. All right. So first story is, of course, water main breaks. And somebody actually found out that there's water main breaks going on all the time. In fact, it's continuous. And in this story, it all came out in the wash. the 400 water main breaks in just recent weeks. That's city trucks getting stuck in sinkholes, et cetera, et cetera. But the main important thing here is all the water being lost, right? And they commented, see at the bottom here, there's a plan in place, gonna take a lot of money, gonna take a lot of years. Okay, I'm gonna give you an idea of the years. In the UK right now, they got a problem with the pipe systems, and they've calculated they'll get around to all of them in 200 years. That'll give you an idea of
which will make them have to start all over again because the other pipes will be 200 years. It's like,
well, because they only last 25, 30 years, right?
Right.
5,300 miles of water mains. So it's just, and here's, they say, the increase in common for water systems similar in age and climate to Cleveland water. Age is the key word, right? Because the way they're normally designed, they are designed to last 20, 30 years, and nobody gets around to them in time, which is why our product line is so important.
they may start after they break. That's what's happening.
Right. So true. Okay. So we saw this data. This was the webinar that inspired me very much in June of 2016, which was from Lux Research. And it said, look, you know, operation and maintenance has been growing steadily since 1960, literally to like 7x. And that's repair and replacing old pipes and mains. So this is the big problem, and it is that it's a maintenance nightmare. And furthermore, here's the net non-revenue water, which is as high, you know, it gets as high as 30%. In fact, a couple briefings ago, we were going over how in Georgia, there was one place that it was 85%. Another place in Michigan was 60%. And, you know, NRW losses, net revenue water losses, what that means is you lose money. Never mind there's sinkholes and trucks falling in the holes and all that stuff. No, it is a loss of money. Here it says $35 per year. I think it's more by now. This was 8 years ago.
And I think it's important that they don't lose the money. They pass it on to the consumer.
Yes, but unfortunately, the consumer is unable to pay.
Right.
As we've pointed out, there's a huge inflation going on where water and sewage rates are rising faster than college tuition or healthcare costs, which are already skyrocketing. Now, here's the thing. The third bullet point is, okay, fine, we're going to go ahead and improve our water by having desalination and city reclamation. That's more expensive water. So that makes the NRW even more expensive. So this is a nasty business. And so it's vital. Now, where do the breaks occur? Yes, the water mains themselves break, but where the point of weakness, of course, is in the joints, right? Any system is weakest in the connection points, be it a house, be it a piping system, whatever, electrical system, it's always where the connections are. And that, sure enough, is these pump stations that we are killing it in terms of installations because we have a 100-year pump station. We can either install it fresh or put in a sleeve to just retrofit an existing leaky well. And it's a business that we don't talk about a lot, but it's a very good business. Pump station, be good to me. Very profitable because what it is, it's a shaft with a pump at the bottom. But because we have expertise in these highly durable plastics, this makes us really the increasingly the acknowledged winner.
Quick color commentary. That was 400 water main breaks so far this year in Cleveland, right? So for those of you that haven't been keeping up with the Joneses in terms of these stats that we like to throw out from time to time, it's the old number from a few years ago from the EPA when they were like, hey guys, we got to fix this, was 240,000 per year. That's how many just water main breaks, 240,000, right? Like that's the scale at which stuff is just breaking down. If that number doesn't just hurt your brain, just equate that. 400 in half a year in Cleveland alone, right?
Every break is $100,000 to the taxpayer.
Yep.
Without breaking a sweat.
It's brutal.
Well, and Cleveland is not that large.
No,
city.
it's a few 100,000 people.
So what we have here is they spend $25 million a year just for a small city. So they got to spend it on the right stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, so with that, we come to the next story, which is back to the Ohio train derailment. Now, the reason I mention this is this story is primarily about the air. Turns out, wow, surprise, surprise. EPA said it was all good. Now it turns out that the toxins, including Agent Orange, Agent Orange dioxin
God.
has spread, primarily to northern PA.
And there are some parts in Western PA, maybe AJ, about 45 minutes to an hour north of us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the Ohio River that feeds out to us, but it's affecting water supplies in the northwestern Pittsburgh suburbs.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember the videos from this, but it literally looked like an oil slick in the water from the surrounding, from all the chemicals falling in the water, with dead fish floating and the rainbow discoloration of the water. It was awful.
So why are we mentioning this? It's obviously we're not going to get involved with the EPA and all that. That's a losing game. But it makes the point that there's a tremendous amount of toxins in industrial operations, and the toxins, never mind that the groundwater has been destroyed, but in addition, the toxic effluents have been pushed to the central. There's no rhyme or reason to let industry send all of its nasty dioxin and all that stuff to the central facility to mingle up with the relatively clean human waste and then try and treat it. Treat it at the place where it's being done. So Keith Morrill is raising a hand, and what we do is just go ahead and make the comment. Keith, if you just mind.
Just post your questions to comments, yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
But because we get easily confused. So, it's tough enough having three of us. So just go ahead and make a comment, and I'll read it off the comment chat. All right, so that's the point I'm trying to make here, is we have a lot of pollution, not a lot being done about it. And this is where our company and its faithful supporters are literally creating a revolution by segregating industry and agriculture from the central system so that these toxins don't hit. And of course, it makes it easier then for the central system to continue to treat the groundwater that they're using for drinking water. And that is their job. Well, they can do their job if they're not being overwhelmed by all of the toxins. Okay. Well, having covered that, let's go ahead, and this is quote unquote 20 June. I just want to say that Kevin was on the 10th of June because we took advantage of a day of shooting that was going on here in Pinellas County. And so Kevin was there. And so it happened to be on the 10th, and our follow-up was on the 11th.
It's the magic of TV.
Exactly. All right. So with the magic of TV, it's literally live right now. And let's watch this cool situation. Hi, I'm Riggs Eckelberry, CEO and co-founder of OriginClear, and I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural Water on the Rocks monthly event, which is every third Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I was so excited that the first headliner for this event is our own Kevin Harrington, who is one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank. And most importantly, he is the face of our crowdfunding. Kevin, this crowdfunding, it's not even open. We're still at reservation stage, and we are killing it.
Crushing it. That's awesome.
Because here's what happens. We look at the ads, and the comments just go bing, 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 bing. Goes viral. That's the best thing you could go. AJ, you're the VP marketing. Mm-hmm. How's this crowdfunding going?
It's going amazing. So Kevin, we're getting reservations every single day, especially with the advertising. People love you. And they love the fact that you're attached to this and are so far behind the message and the core offering of what we're doing and what the potential is on the investment angle for investors. And the fact that it's open to everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Which is part of the mission. So it could not be going better, in my opinion. Again, new reservations every single day. I'm ecstatic.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Thank you.
What we're dealing with in America, people are becoming more and more aware of it, is the state of water. Just today, we learned that the potato farmers in Idaho were cut off from all water.
Really?
While there was snow on the mountains, water in plain sight, but they were shut off. This is the tyranny of central infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, I can't blame the people trying to make it work because they have a terrible job, but it's time for businesses to step up and get their own water independence.
Right.
And they know it. We're here to enable that. And Ken, you are right in the thick of us.
I was thumbing through Twitter and I saw this potato farmer. This is a man with thousands of acres, and he's saying, look, this will look like the Dust Bowl of the 1930s without water. Look, water is life. And the fact that Kevin's had a multi-decade career of really only working with winners and really trying to find the best situations for people, it's been extremely well accepted. I think the next couple of months are going to change everything.
And this is the second part of our update, Kevin, which is that we are moving fast to bring water on demand, our creation, which has 2 operating units that are doing a fantastic job, and the third one, which is just developing, which is this whole idea of water as a service. There's a lot of stuff we can't talk about.
Right.
But what's important is that throughout that process, we're doing one very, very important thing. We're working on acquiring companies. Now, why is that important? The water as a service concept is a concept that transforms me selling something to you, and I get paid once, to you using it again and again and again, you keep paying me.
Right.
Which is monthly or annual recurring revenue, right?
Yes, I love it.
It's what landlords love.
Yeah.
We're bringing that to water. When we make an acquisition of a company that sells equipment and they make 15%, thank you very much. Now we bless them with the magic wand of water as a service. They just went from, let's say their profits are $1 million, so they're worth $2 million, then to a 7x. Automatically, because they adopted our business model.
Because of the continuity, guaranteed revenues that are becoming.
So we're going to be blessing every single one of these. And that is going to create this very exciting compound thing because A, the acquisitions themselves will add revenue and profits, and then there'll be an additional factor of making them into services,
right,
which will make them blossom.
You work with entrepreneurs, guys that want to build up their company and maybe one day sell to a bigger organization, right? I mean, that's their cash
most
out of
entrepreneurs want to do.
Right, golden parachute. However, how easy is it to have a guy put in 30 years, sell his company, and see, but just by virtue of it transforming from a simple manufacturing operation to a sophisticated fintech with a many times multiple long-term tail revenue maker, you could literally add 5-6-fold to the value of that company by virtue of it. How easy is it for them to say, not only do I want to sell it, but I want to remain part of this thing because there's an equity play for us granting them stock.
The silver tsunami is the aging out of water workers in America, and 7 million jobs are going open.
Oh, wow.
Now, these are skilled jobs. They're not filled by everyday people.
Gotcha.
You need engineering training and so forth, and it's not happening. So again, it comes back to the private sector.
So this is where there's opportunity for the private sector to jump in and do what the public maybe is not going to be able to continue forever at the same rate. And by the way, many of these small businesses, they consume so much water that it makes sense for them to control their own destiny like this, right?
Yes.
So why are people not going into the water business? Because it's considered to be a kind of a century-old, stodgy kind of. They're becoming software engineers. Why do you become a software engineer? Because I want to get rich, sell my technology company to a big player, and get wealthy. Water engineers aren't thinking of that. They're saying, well, I'm going to go into the civil service side of the business. I'll work for $120,000 a year and I'll retire with a pension. It's lacking in entrepreneurs generally because entrepreneurs want to build something, sell it for 7 or 8 figures, and then work on their next project.
Yes.
Water on demand can take traditional brick and mortar construction businesses that are highly profitable, but have always been deemed as rather boring or behind the curtain type thing, and actually take a $10 million company. And by virtue of us waving the wand, just doing that little blessing, we can create a 5, 6, 7x valuation increase, which would allow that seller to have a liquidity event he never would have thought possible. I believe that can create a real gold rush for us in terms of companies coming to us saying, I want to be part of what you're doing.
This is one of those things where water is such a big deal that no one cares about because I can still go and turn on my faucet in this country, right? And I can get water. People don't understand. They see the road work, they see the signs of the infrastructure failing, but they don't understand the implications of what the businesses are struggling with on the regulatory side, the costs associated with treating their water that they don't have, and in the aging out of the silver tsunami. So all of this that we're doing now helps to create this environment to where we can bring awareness to the entire industry, not just from the needs of the people in it and the businesses in it, but the opportunity that lies within it.
As far as early stage investor type players, when they look at the fact that every single living creature on Earth needs water, and we're the first ones that are trying to fix this at its DNA, at the point of discharge, right?
What I love is you talked about the entrepreneurial image I have. Well, that's going to be very powerful in bringing more entrepreneurs into this water business with us. Because that's what we want.
We have this guy, Dan Early. He's an evangelist. He sells. He does webinars. He's not a standard engineer. Because we have an entrepreneurial water company, which is almost impossible, we've achieved that. The people here are being sparked into being innovative. And the more people come, it'll create this critical force.
It'll attract the right type of player.
Let me ask you about Elon Musk, okay? Elon Musk, the secret to his success is attracting people like him. People who are fast, active, vibrant, intelligent, super smart. For years now, I've watched Tony Seba talk about transportation as a service. Transportation is going to become a service. You'll no longer own your own car. That's been going on for years now. Elon's making it a reality. Tesla is a car company, and it has car company margins, which means crap. Where's he going? He's going to the robotaxi. Mm-hmm. And the robotaxi, it'll be like an Apple App Store model.
Right.
Okay, he'll take a percentage of all the freaking rides.
Instead of just selling a system once, he'll earn revenue off of that car for 20 years. Where did we get that idea from?
Right. And so this
great
is
minds think alike.
This is a similar thing.
Right.
We have two great divisions, progressive water treatment for the big custom stuff, modular water for the pods. And they're doing business, they're doing great. Now we take that and we do what Elon's doing. We move to the services. A regular sales model turn into this recurring gold model. That's where we're going. We are busy acquiring. We're going to see a lot of these people coming into the fold. And water on demand is the baby that we're turning into this giant success, we believe.
Nice.
And meanwhile, OriginClear continues to be an incubator. And stay tuned, Kevin, because you'll be hearing about new incubations coming.
I like it. That's awesome. We had a good session here, guys. It's good to get the updates and see the direction that the company is heading. And I think, as you mentioned, Elon Musk and all the people that are like-minded that are coming to him, that's what we're going to get here as the entrepreneurial explosion occurs out of having a shark involved like myself. It's very exciting.
I'm so glad we attracted you to it.
I'm ready. Let's go, guys. Okay, thank you.
Well, hello and welcome back to Water on the Rocks, the first inaugural monthly event, and it's the 20th of June. Oh, we just came from hanging out with Kevin.
It's fun to watch the, I'm sure we're not the typical association he's got, right? You know, and to see how he's evolving with us, and you know, he's getting deeper and deeper into like kind of that, wow, he sees it, right? Yeah. And his ability to communicate it and kind of simplify his message, which I think, look, the exposure he's giving us is just phenomenal. And he's got a built-in audience for us, I think, for this crowdfunding that it's almost made to order for him, which is wonderful. Really, I'm enjoying it.
Well, it was also, I like to use him, he sees so many businesses, right, that I like to throw ideas at him and see if it lights a spark. And yesterday, we were talking about how we have these plans for acquiring ordinary water companies that are doing, you know, 15% growth and just kind of like that, the usual water business, and waving a magic wand, and all of a sudden their services. And it makes like a 5x improvement or whatever it is, right? To me, it turned our acquisition strategy into an opportunity really to just, you know how it's a black and white commercial and the little girl goes with every flower, she goes out and the flowers become
color, right.
Color. And this can be so much fun, you know?
Yeah, and I think the term that we were kind of mulling around and bouncing around in our mouth was kind of valuation force multiplier or something along those lines. Taking an ordinary, what was deemed from an acquisition standpoint, is kind of ho-hum. How would you like me to take something that I'm buying you at 2x and make you worth 10x?
But the interesting part about that, and with Kevin, as you mentioned, right, is this entrepreneurial spirit. And what I think is really interesting to me about this whole venture and bringing Kevin in as a partner and as an advisor is that we've really tapped into something that water is something that, again, no one thinks about actively, right? Not in any way. And so to bring someone like Kevin who has that success as an entrepreneur
and attach that kind of a lens to everything that's happening, all of a sudden is now sparking this opportunity. It sparks this creativity in the space that has been stagnant for so long, where you guys are like, hey, we're going to take systems, right? We're going to see if we can try and create a new asset class with these things and take that same spirit. And now we've got a guy like Kevin who can go, yeah, no, that's it. That's the ticket, and help to make it happen, right?
Okay, so here's the question, because any engineer will tell you, how do you scale it? How do you scale it? We're still a small company. We're going to be acquiring companies. And what we've known works is to let the companies we acquire run themselves. They're semi-autonomous, they're kind of that way. They're kind of gnarly. And you know what? We'll be acquiring companies.
I like it that way. Right?
Well, that's how they've been. So you say, fine, continue, right? Because if you do too much integration, then they just go away.
It's a culture force, like I'm forcing a new culture on you type thing, right?
Now, here's what we do. We let them keep operating. And just how right now, Dan Early is doing a first water on demand project. To him, he's just selling a system. Water on demand is how it's paid for.
Right.
It makes no difference to his business whatsoever, except the profits.
And they were like, wait, so I just continue to sell? Yeah, except all the money's taken care of. There's no chasing money. Oh, really? Yeah, you just do your thing.
Yeah. But you also get the synergy of a force multiplier of production.
There you go.
Right? And so that's where a lot of these Yes, but a lot of these companies have established customer bases.
Exactly.
They're doing very well, but they don't have the eye to scale because they're thinking either locally or they're thinking within their own supply chain. Whereas now you become part of this network, and now you have resources to be able to scale up even more. These companies get to keep it operating exactly as they have been, but now they have a brand new customer base.
To your point, where we have a number of these machines stacked up in a warehouse, and literally they're like, I'm already envisioning them, and big warehouse. And so then that is frictionless, right?
Right.
And then on top of it, the finance is frictionless.
Sure.
Now you're just, the local water company that either is acquired by us or that we work with, there's a number of ways we can do this. By associating with us, they're getting the ability to just dominate their market, just master it.
What's Mercedes-Benz' greatest benefit in manufacturing cars? Mercedes-Benz Finance. Going to these individual manufacturers and saying, look, instead of arranging for your customer to find some sort of financing that may or may not happen, they're sitting in a warehouse. All you have to say is, I have your system. Done. You can turn a sales cycle from 2 years to 2 weeks.
And this brings us to the vertical that we're entering. If you're going to have systems stacked in a warehouse, you want them for a standard application.
Sure.
Right? Like, well, you got a system, but no, it's the wrong one. No, right? So what we have is a highly standardized application, which is the 5,000 gallon per day, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality approved model. So it's pre-permitted. And now we get to roll it out to all these mobile home parks in units of 1, 2, or 3, depending how many doors they have, right? Water on demand is the water industry's force multiplier.
Yeah.
We can adopt that positioning that we are literally going to turbocharge an industry that has classically bad margins.
Also, I don't think the big players envision themselves manufacturing $250,000.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
They were like, I got to chase around 1 million customers and find the ones with the money. That's too hard. Why aren't the big players in it? Because in the previous iteration of how the business was done, the Mom Bell generation, it didn't make sense. But in the cellular generation,
it's beautiful.
It totally does, right?
It's beautiful. We excel, number one, at working with the smaller customer through modular water systems, standardization of machines, also solving their finance problems of water on demand, and thirdly, acquiring the companies that service them because we can work that efficiently and we don't have a giant corporate overhead, which I think, makes us, kind of the mouse that roared in a way, right? Mm-hmm. The particular customer we're talking to, they, as I was saying, they're forced to work with us basically. And so now we've been going back and forth, and originally they wanted a machine underground for aesthetics. Well, much more expensive. And now we have an above ground machine, a containerized machine. Good for them, even better for us because we can repo we can repossess it.
Right.
And what's important about this is really to freeze the model, right? Freeze the model with all the, okay, what's your buyout provisions and how do the shareholders make money? And it's been very interesting. And one thing we've learned is it's actually a rich model.
Right.
It's a rich model. And it's looking better and better for the investors as we continue to tweak the model. And that, look, these machines last a lot longer than 20 years.
Right.
But as investors, we're like, come on, 20 years is plenty. I should be able to make good money over 20 years, and then we'll see what happens, right? The trailer park, or really the mobile home, which is trailer parks plus RV campgrounds, vertical is moving along. That's going well. I want to briefly mention what we were talking about with Kevin, which was this interesting story about the potatoes in Idaho. And all of a sudden, the municipality just cutting off all these potato farmers, and there's snow-capped peaks right there.
In the background.
Yeah.
Like you saw them filming the guy, and you saw a mountain. This is Idaho.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that whole, what is it, the Cascade Mountains, right? It's the eastern part of the Cascade
I
Mountains.
guess so, yeah.
You see these majestic snow-capped mountains in the background, and they've shut off their water.
Yeah.
Right? That's a death knell. And having your fate as a business owner controlled by anyone but you is a nightmare scenario to any business owner, large or small. And this is an extreme example of it.
Well, it gave me a clue as to why people have apathy towards water problems. Because what can I do about it?
Right.
What can I do? That farmer, because he's not decentralized, he's screwed. There's nothing he can do. He can just rant and rave. And we've learned, COVID taught us not to be dependent upon the powers that be.
Absolutely.
Because they make irrational decisions that are, pure public health or whatever it is.
Sometimes they're just guessing.
Well, there's still decisions.
But either way, we have to live with them.
Well, and the what can you do about it thing, right? So there were a bunch of guys wearing powdered wigs not too long ago saying, what can you do about this T-tax thing? And they created a revolution over it, right? We're doing that now. It's a renaissance in a
Water
way.
independence.
It's a water renaissance, right? It's unlocking the most reliable and eager market, which is that small entrepreneur. It's empowering.
Well, and the small to medium businesses are 85% of the economy in terms of business. The other fascinating story, of course, is Memphis, Tennessee, where Elon Musk wants to build a giant data center, 100,000 computers in a single computer, using 1 million gallons a day of water. Now, those gallons don't go away; they recirculate. It's a cooling tower, right? But nonetheless, it has to be cleaned and so forth, big energy needs. And what we're getting into the era of is demands way beyond the designed infrastructure, whether it's energy, roads, water. The designed infrastructure is just not there. Now, in the area of roads, for example, as I've said many, many times, we're never going to have a high-speed rail network in this country. That's not going to happen. Why? Automated cars.
Right.
Automated cars. You get into this little buggy and it takes you. You can sleep in it, you can eat in it, and do whatever. So why would you have to get into a train with a bunch of other people, which
only goes to certain points.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, America
drive
is
through the
too
train.
big, right? Think about the number of rails you'd have to have them every few hundred miles north of each other.
Yeah.
You'd have 50 of them or more, right?
You need a spider's web.
But you talk about that, but it's also the regulatory control. Just like with Idaho, just like with anything else, and just like the story with Elon, right? They're trying to get him on the hook because this facility, which there's a demand for, or he wouldn't be building it.
He's the whale too. They know it.
Yes,
The whale.
but there's a demand for it, and they're saying, okay, well, this thing's going to need, the equivalent of 100,000 homes to power, right? Well, you need to play ball with solar. You need to agree to be able to power down if we're in an energy crisis or what. All of these different
Exactly
types
what a
of things.
business owner wants to hear.
No, but
you have to agree to shut down when we say so.
My point is that it's all of these constraints that are outside of your control, right? And you're talking to Elon, who's got Tesla, right? You're telling me that Elon can't go solar if he wants to go his own solar? Of course he can.
You got Solar City.
Exactly. And he could build it, and he could power it, and he could do whatever he wants. He doesn't need them to come in and tell them this, but they're coming in anyway and saying, well, you got to play ball with us.
Now, if they could do that to Elon, what are they doing to the little guy? Which, again, is where what we're doing comes in. And it basically, also, when you network together small businesses, what do? You create a cooperative. You actually make them far more powerful than they could ever be individually, right? I mean, that's what water on demand is doing, really, right?
It's an interesting you bring that up, because there's also another story in the mobile home park space that I was just reading today. It's actually a couple years old, but there's a company that is enabling these mobile home parks or trailers or these containerized homes, basically, that are not owned by people to now be owned by co-ops. And they're empowering the residents of these different communities to go in together. They're helping to supply the financing to get it done. The companies are now just paying them to help return on that financing, and they get to be in command of their own destiny again, right? And we're seeing these revolutions all over the place.
And the cooperative owners monetize the real estate in what was previously an extremely low margin torture. It's the death march, right? It's that rental death march, because these are not, they're not these magnificent, condos on the water, right? They're very low margin, low priced real estate items. But by putting them together and making them a community, they are far more valuable than that little pad. And I think that's probably the motive. I mean, I'd have to read about it, but I'm sure that's the motivation.
It is. And they also have more power than they think that they do. And that's the other kind of underlying thread of all of this. I was reading another story. I don't think I was telling you guys, but I was reading another story today. There's this ongoing litigation, I want to say in Wisconsin or Michigan, where there's another mobile home park that they're trying to shut down, or they're trying to give these ordinances to, because it keeps flooding. And so now they're saying, well, you guys need to pay to raise your mobile homes up another foot or 11 feet or something to help with these flooding damages. And the community's like, we can't afford to do it. What are you going to do? Shut us down? Make us move? Are you going to make us homeless? And all the regulatory body can do is go, you better do this. And then when they don't do it, they go, all right, we'll give you another year. Right. We'll give you another year. Because they're not going to deal with the whole problem of displacing an entire community.
Right. Next month, we are going to have, I plan to have Corey Scipione, who's our very talented M&A specialist. And, definitely, to me, the acquisitions plan is key to implementing water on demand itself. You think of it normally, well, wait a minute, why are you buying a bunch of classic water companies? Well, it's because you can bless them with the water on demand model. It's a very direct thing. Now, we're still going to work with water companies we don't own. Let's say there's an opportunity in Seattle, we don't own the company. Well, we'll do a water on demand deal there. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
You make a competitor a natural partner.
Exactly.
Listen, I have a customer that I can't sell it to, but I got the system. He loves it. I love him. He loves me. What do? You take out that wand that creates the color, and you tap it, and he goes, terrific. Now you turn people that would never normally be natural allies into natural allies.
So making the water industry far more profitable,
sure,
I think is a really, really big reason for water on demand to exist, but also to propagate, right? To propagate the model.
Why do utility stocks pay such great dividends? There's a lot of money in long-term revenue, right? And we're turning private companies, we're granting them the ability and the power to become these recurring monthly revenue models, which is something that they never, micro utilities.
So this is very exciting. So just looking at the arc of time here, obviously we have currently a black hole where whatever's going to happen is whatever's going to happen. And really it's not binary, because, if one transaction doesn't happen, there's other transactions. Regardless, we're going to find ourselves acquiring companies. We already have one agreement of principle. Some more in the hopper. Bill Charneski and Corey Scipione have been touring companies. They're getting wonderful, they're being welcomed with open arms.
Sure.
This is really,
it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of excitement about when we come in and we say this is what we are, they get excited. So that's wonderful. And as we move into the capital phase of water on demand, we'll be able to make these acquisitions. Nothing's guaranteed, of course. But we want to move ahead with that, and then in parallel enable the water on demand deal so that it automatically, quarter by quarter, we can just keep, force multiplying.
I mentioned a couple of terms at the meeting with Kevin, and I really think if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. I think if we can simplify our message to the public by those very short clip terms that kind of help people quickly envision, I think that will help rapidly accelerate the virality of our message making, right?
Water as a service. That's been the new hot term, right?
We're making water industry much more profitable, like orders of magnitude more profitable. Even one order of magnitude would be a revolution. And the other factor, remember, it's about recycling, stupid, right?
Recycling.
Which is 15% recycling by industry and agriculture, doubles the amount of fresh water in this country.
Now, I don't know the statistic. I have to imagine that the concept of drought at that point is ameliorated, if not darn close to eliminated, if you double the amount of fresh water.
Well, let me expand on that briefly. So you take a place like California that gets most of its water from the Colorado River, right? They have these massive, super expensive plants, right? There's one, I think, in San Diego or one in Orange County. And they have these massive processes they have to do. We're talking acres. And across the past decade, they've spent billions of dollars trying to get these things to taxpayer dollars to be able to recycle water, to be able to renew aquifers, to be able to do all these different types of things because they can't rely on the Colorado River. And they're even talking about shutting off the access to the Colorado River because they're going, you're sucking too much, right? So I don't know how much you're going to be able to solve region-specific problems like that, but I do know that if every single business in California had an on-site treatment plant and they were recycling their own water, they wouldn't have to rely so much, right?
That is a wonderful thought. And with that, gentlemen, we will be continuing to work online, of course, but as much as possible, I'd like to meet here in Clearwater. July is going to be even hotter and muggier.
Yeah.
We'll do it inside.
We promise.
But it's really been incredible having you guys down here, and we should do it more often. Later today we're getting together with the whole team. Enough of this, it's wonderful. They've got people in Pennsylvania, people in LA, people here, but there's nothing like the 3D.
That's right. No, absolutely.
100%.
No cardboard cutouts.
Right?
All right.
One for all for one. It was kind of cool. We covered a lot of ground in that thing.
Yes, we were leaking.
We weren't sweating, we were glowing. Come on.
Okay, that's a better word. We were glowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I go on, I just want to address Jay Miller says, at what point do you reach enough investments to deploy systems to private properties that are businesses? How does or will private businesses make your systems available to private homes? I think what he's saying is he's hoping we'll get down to the private home. And here's our policy on it. It's based on the rule of big numbers. 90% of our market is industrial and agricultural, 10% is private. And by the way, there are dozens of players in that space.
And they're good at it.
They do a good job. So we're like, go for it. Basically, our plan is to handle housing developments, larger structures, all good, trailer parks. Anytime there's a combination of homes, that works because they're under one management. We're just building small.
What I was going to say to Jay, to address Jay, and I've been talking with AJ about this. I'm ducking out for half an hour tomorrow at lunchtime. I'm looking to buy large lots in my town, 50, 60 acres, and develop a few properties on it. Now, you can buy this stuff really cheap because there's no way to attach to sewer, right? These were built as previously farms. So you're talking the average. So right now they're selling lots in my neighborhood, third acre for $52,000. So it's about $175,000 per an acre. Okay. You could buy a 50-acre lot for like $400,000. So I think developers will be able to kind of move out to the exurban, landscape and be able to develop and still remain very cost effective. And the reuse of water at those locations can be used for, you can get a second turn for shrubbery and grass and pools and so on and so forth. So while it won't go to the individual home, Jay, we do see an opportunity to put, 50 homes into place and put, out in the exurbs and put one of these systems in place. And I think it'll be an absolute boon for property developers.
Well, guys, let's not forget about Munson Point and Colwood, West Virginia. So we already have. So this is the thing that you guys got to understand. There's two components to making any of this work. One is having the technological capability to do so by having systems. We have systems. We have systems that can go in ground. We have systems that go above ground. We have pumps. We have situations to handle that. We have ultrafiltration. We have big custom, right? The capability for creating the system and filtering the water already developed, it's already in play. We already have customers outside of the water on demand model that have just bought systems to use in a wide variety of different use cases, but already in these privatized, sectors. Colwood, West Virginia they were on a whole town on a septic system, and now they're using one of our Veritreat in-ground systems as their central waste utility, right? So this is the kind of stuff that's already come into play. But again, it's the recycling, right? Getting people to be able to recycle individual residentials, that's not what moves the needle on the water recycling to help increase the freshwater availability. It's getting industry and agriculture to treat at the point of pollution, because they're the ones introducing the PFAS and the hazardous chemicals and all of that stuff into the water. We have to focus on those things. That's how we ultimately move the needle on water quality, on overburdened municipalities, and make water cleaner, cheaper, and more available.
Amen.
The curve bends very, very rapidly once you start to scale these at dozens, then hundreds. Once you're at the thousands or tens of thousands locations, from my mouth to God's ears, you're bending the curve on overall pollution, and that is where it becomes that the potential doubling of drinking water that would be available.
Okay, so I just wanted to cover a couple other items, and from Lucas in Tasmania. Hi guys, brilliant meeting from Lucas down under. When are you starting to deploy outside USA? Well, frankly, it's going to be a while. Here's why. Number one, we have two layers here. One is the conventional decentralized water treatment, which is a big deal, and it's a mega trend. And then on top of that, we layered the investor financing of these systems to make a frictionless sale. So here's where I see things going on in general. And next month, I'm going to talk about what we're going to cover next month, because there's going to be a lot of new graphs and forecasts and numbers, and you are going to be blown away by some of the multiples achieved. But bottom line is that we're going to be spending at least 2 years getting our act together in the US before we do a single deal abroad. And when it is abroad, it'll likely be Mexico or Canada, only because it's North America, right? So It's just part of the same deal. So that's the way it's at. We would love to be in Tassie.
Jay, to your question, just so I can make this a little more clear for you. So we have Water on Demand, which is our subsidiary, has two operating divisions. One is Progressive Water Treatment, and the other one is Modular Water Systems. You can already get systems from them today, right? We have hundreds of customers on the modular water side. We've got thousands of customers on the progressive water side, because they've been operating for 25 plus years, right? So the operating divisions are already creating systems. They're already deploying. They have tons of work. They are busy, busy, busy. You can get systems from them today. And the water on demand piece, right? The water on demand piece is the new piece that allows us to add the financing layer so that we can help start to get into new markets where companies that don't have the operating capital to take control of their water treatment can get access to it. That's what we were mainly talking about in the video today.
But I think more pointedly, Jay is asking, so when do those go on the, do you have to build up a certain critical amount of capital mass? No, the answer is no. We're literally working on the pilot now.
No, wait. He's asking, and this AJ is correctly answering it, when are we going to sell any systems to any developers? We are.
Oh, okay. I see. I'm looking at his question.
This is an important thing.
Okay.
We have two divisions. And by the way, a Progressive Water Treatment just closed a very large deal. They do large deals, energy companies primarily. And they're doing great, but they're all custom, and we generally can't talk about them. But Modular Water is already constantly doing trailer parks and housing developments and so forth. That's already happening. These are businesses that are booming. Overall, the company grew between 2021 and 2023 by 161%. In other words, basically almost doubled, which is a lot for water, right? So we have a lot going on there. What we've been talking about is using the water on demand model, which is where the investors come in, because the investors are not needed for the existing business. These are self-sufficient. Progressive Water was profitable starting in 2015 when we bought them. And Modular Water, we launched it fresh in 2018. It was profitable starting in 2021. They operate on their own. They're fine. What we're funding is investors coming in to take the capital burden away from the customers, which is a second generation activity. And that is what Ken has been calling the force multiplier. Why? Because all of a sudden the sales are super easy. There's no more friction. I don't have the money. Don't worry. Here, sign here. Number one. Number two,
incredible amount of recurring revenue so that we acquire a regular company that does this. So Modular Water sells a system in San Antonio, that trailer park we're working with. They sell that system. They make, I don't know, $200,000 profit. That same $200,000 on the water as a service model is repeated year after year after year. And you'll be tuning in next month to hear what those numbers are, and they will blow your mind. I'm not telling you now because we're still finalizing them and making very, very sure.
Spoiler alert, it's ridiculous.
Very. And this is why Microsoft...
I got excited. I've been sharing.
And he was not even sarcastic about it. He was like...
No, I'm excited.
He was genuinely in love. You know, this is why Microsoft has a huge valuation, because aside from AI, they moved to the service model. We pay $20 a month for Microsoft MS365, which once upon a time was $120 one-time shot. So right away, within 5 months, they've made their money, and now it goes on and on and on and on. So that's the deal. Now, I want to quickly cover our next guest, because I'm super excited about that. And I just need to pull back up the PowerPoint slideshow. Espera un momentito.
But while he's doing that, Jay, does that make sense? I want to make sure that we're coming across correctly for you and answering your question. So I hope that answers your question.
I think we were answering different segments of the question, right?
Yes, it was a two-part question.
Right.
That was the first part, was just when will you ever get to developers? We're there.
We're there, right? I thought the question was, and if I'm correct, I'll answer it. You know, can you make these developers now based on the pay per gallon thing? We're working on a pilot right now in a real estate space. We'll perfect that pilot first, and then we'll expand the use case to other markets as rapidly as possible.
I just want to make it clear. We're going to focus hard on the mobile home space.
Right.
We're not going to go a mile wide, an inch deep. We are going to, on the water on demand side, our regular businesses can do whatever. They can sell to dealerships, they can sell to breweries, it's fine. But in terms of water on demand, we want to replicate the same pro forma. And Paul, very good questions I'm about to answer. We're going to replicate that bang, 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 bang in mobile home parks and RV campgrounds, which are the low-hanging fruit. So focus entails sacrifice. You can't do everything.
Right.
Unless you're Elon Musk, and I don't know how he does it.
But he didn't start with everything, remember?
But I mean,
right?
he's a madman. I'm saying that in a very admiring way. Okay, so Paul asks, what percentage of the rental lease premium is given to investors? And what if the user stops paying? Okay, these are excellent questions. And I can tell you this. Currently, the deal is 25% of the profits. We are actually working on how we can juice that. The cap rate is going to end up being really nice. So stay tuned. That's part of what we're working on right now. And number two, if the user stops paying, here's the beauty. We're shipping the Averaskid model, which is an above ground model. And we have in the contracts, we pre-negotiate an easement so that we can go in and repo that. We have the legal right to do so, take it away. And they're stuck. They're stuck. If they stop paying, on top of it, they owe 6 months. They have to keep paying for it. If they say, I want to stop, okay, fine. We'll take it away, but you're paying for 6 months.
Right.
Because we're going to have to refurbish and reposition that unit, but it's good as new, right? Refurbishing it.
Businesses stop paying their utilities last, by the way, right? They'll forego rent or accounts receivable. They're not going to not pay their utilities.
Because they go into compliance. Okay, when is best to contact to implement developments roughly the same size as the average MHPs? Okay, here's how we work. The beginning of our business is not the end user. The beginning of our business is channel partners, manufacturing sales reps. I don't know if you've seen some of the testimonials from them, but they generate our business. And number two, consulting engineers. Those are the people we talk to. Generally, and these are the companies that are at the lowest, at ground floor, Progressive Water, Modular Water, and our future acquisitions. They generate ordinary business, and they're doing plenty of it. They got lots and lots. They got tens of millions of dollars of opportunities. We are not saying, oh, please find us a client. No, they're all over the place. They're huge. It's a lot of business going on. So we're not touching that. We're letting that be. And we're just simply adding the overlay of the capital relief for the end user, which creates this extraordinarily profitable model for the investor and for us. And remember, it's repeating annual, monthly,
Recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue.
continuously, and you'll be blown away. So I want to jump out. So thank you.
I just gave you a link to modularwater.com, Jay. That's the modular water system site that we talked about, the containerized systems for the mobile home parks that are built more purpose for those. Those are averaging like a 5 to 10,000 gallon per day system. So if that's your load and you're looking for something you need to implement for your business, check that out and reach out to them via the contacts, and they'll be able to get in touch with you and
they'll be delighted to. They'll be delighted to. All right, 18 July, third Thursday in July. Corey Scipione, M&A advisor. Corey is a rock star. Let's take a look at his tombstones. Tombstones are obviously these announcements about deals. He's done 16 sell-side, well, he's done 16 transactions between M&A, on the sell-side, buy-side, private placements, and equity markets, and 11 capital transactions. So he's actually a pretty young guy. So, but he's worked, as you can see, eBay Enterprise. He's worked with Magento, big player. You know,
I'm familiar with Jegs. Gotta love the truck parts.
Bingo. Yeah, he's done, and this is very good because he's done brick and mortar, industrial type deals.
Yep.
Okay, so already Corey is working to support our longtime M&A advisor, Bill Charneski, who helped us acquire Progressive Water Treatment back in the day. And he is doing several things. He's building the book, basically, right? For example, when and if the company finalizes its merger, what will the capital structure look like so that a company being acquired by us knows how much percentage it will have of a NASDAQ company? That's critical information, number one. So he's putting that together. Number two, there's going to be a new deck, which will have all these new graphs. And I've been working on this very hard with the help of Prasad, our CFO, Ken. We've had a lot of help, Tom Marchicello, just pulling it together so that we have a really good forecast, because we now have several companies lined up. So we know their numbers. Back in fourth quarter of last year, a lot of it was fictitious. Like, well, let's assume this. No, now we got the real revenue numbers. We have the real profit numbers and the real growth numbers. And so now it's going to be much more solid.
And this is on the small side of the market, which traditionally has been the most problematic. So the idea is this could even evolve better as we get into the larger markets that we aspire to.
You're absolutely right. Being able to turn it into an assembly line.
Yeah.
To make it in small systems, i.e., in small water companies, which are in the $3 to $6 million range. Once you have that down, then when you go to a $30 or $50 million company, it just boom.
Your infrastructure is already there. You've already built the web. I also want to stress something. I see folks like sending us their phone numbers and stuff. Look, if you are interested, what we're currently positioning people, giving them the ability to do, whether you're an accredited investor or even just an ordinary regular investor, you are positioned now to get yourself involved before this goes to the next level. Please contact us if it's your intent. Say, hey, how do I get involved? How do I invest in you guys? How do I do this before the big guys step in? Which is our hope and our plan. We're going to put up some information. So you just, we're not going to be able to save your numbers post meeting, or probably can, but best way to get in touch with me if you're looking to invest is we'll put up the links momentarily. And that was our freewheeling discussion. It's already gone. It's come and gone.
But Paul, you're right on the money. And Jay, yes, also right on the money.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to start wrapping things up. It's been, perfect, about an hour. And Jay Miller. So Paul says these days VCs are going after mobile home parks. Yes, as I reported a few weeks ago, we have we know that Grant Cardone is doing $2.6 billion in mobile home parks. What we don't want to go to these people looking like a gangsta. We want to have it together. So we want to have something that is a showcase already. So we're operating in a much smaller, safe space to get it right, so that we can go, here's the model, here's how it works, it's operating, and we already have deal flow. Would you like to play?
And it unlocks the potential of that space, the mobile home park space. It unlocks their access to capital for financing and things like that. AJ, I know we have a link up here, oc.gold/Ken. Is that still active, or are we using something different because we're sending them to a different experience?
No, I believe that still works. You can also just go to offer.originclear.com or go to originclear.com and click the happy little invest button. All above work.
Yeah, OriginClear, hit the invest button. What we have here on, let's see what shows up.
I want to mention one thing to Paul in his
Goes
comment.
directly to a meeting booking.
Yep.
Okay.
But we actually have a better, we have a better funnel. So we will be updating it, because coming to, if you click on the invest now, it takes you directly to a very powerful presentation. And that's what I strongly recommend.
Yep. You throw in your information there and you get immediate access to an investor presentation delivered by Ken that goes
Before
through
I had
entire
the 10.
opportunity. Before he had the 10.
Before
But
I
yes,
had the 10.
it walks you through the entire opportunity, start to finish, and allows you to really have a productive conversation with Ken and understand if the deal is right for you.
And Paul, you mentioned venture capital in your comment. Understand that if we go to VCs, that cuts you guys out. We don't want to do that.
Well, wait. We're going to service the VCs as clients, not
Yes.
investors.
Which is what I think Paul was trying to say, right? Is that if we come to them as a client, then we can do many parks.
Oh, so then I misunderstood. I apologize then, Paul. Yeah, then you're correct.
Okay. Finally, Jay Miller says it seems appropriate for ag zone properties may be able to use larger systems on larger properties or structures that share some acreages. 100% from your lips. All right. Thank you all. It's been a great premiere of Water on the Rocks Monthly. As we discussed earlier, we may end up with some hits, but they'll be short. If we do stuff every week, it'll be very, kind of like Facebook Live kind of stuff. We shall see.
Well, to give you the sneak preview, we already gave you the sneak preview of Corey, but from my perspective, right, what we'd like to see, and I'd love to hear your feedback because the survey's still live, people. Love my surveys, please. Feedback is most appreciated. But what we're thinking about doing is taking more of the current events or quick hit business types of things and moving those to a shorter weekly show that we can put together, that's like in a 10 to 15 minute mark that we can put out as a video and have you guys engage with. And then during our monthly live events where we actually have the guests, we can really turn that into more of a interview with the guest relative to their expertise into the segments of water and the various things that they've accomplished and have a much more productive, entertaining conversation instead of us rehashing all the happy things that we're talking about all the time, but really being able to talk about, focus on people like Corey and what he brings to the table to help you guys understand, hey, look, we're bringing in people that have some serious competence here. We're making amazing moves, and you guys are along for the ride, and it's a fantastic one.
What I can promise you is that these monthly briefings will have a lot of, where's the beef? A lot of meat on them, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So do sign up for the next one. Tell your friends, because it's a much bigger group, and we're going to make it bigger yet. Thank you all. It's been wonderful.
Yep.
And have a great rest of the month.
Good evening.
And have a wonderful 4th of July.
Yes. Happy 4th. See everybody.
I'm heading back down to Florida for July. It'd be great.